Howdy folks, Don Bruce yet again. So in the last video we got our vehicle in game. We had a couple of issues with the lights, and then we also didn't have any other animations and fancy stuff. So for starters, let's take a look at the light issues. I'm not the best with indicators, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change these left turn lights and these indicators here to actually just be turn signals. And so I'm just going to change it from indicator to turn. And I'm going to change this from that to COO. And that'll just have to work. I could care less if it looks perfect. I mean, we are kind of working with an older model, so the fact it even has turn signals in the beginning, or that start is yeah, whatever. So left, turn light, and then there we are. So that should fix the turn lights. I took a second look at the texture color, and I think that's actually not bad in terms of a clear texture, because that's what the texture is. It's a clear one, but we probably want an oranger texture. So let's go open GIMP here, and or you know what? Actually, we don't have to open GIMP. We're going to do the thing we do every time we need something. We're going to steal, yes, I know it's been modified. We're going to go steal information from the official content pack. So I'm going to source main. It's going to be inside the. Let's go open the Scout. Actually, I should have done this in Blender, but it's just a text file anyways. Let's go to turn left turn light. F. There we are. FF. That looks like it's orange. Yeah, FF8CO. So that'll be orange. We're going to make this orange. And we don't want FFMCC, we want that, which means we're going to have to go grab that map. There we are. And copy that. And we're going to go apply that same name to the other one. Again, if you name your lights right to start with, you don't have to worry about such a thing, but you make do with what you have. There we go. So that ought to do our turn lights, that ought to do our indicators. Now we need to get our steering wheel and pedals animated. So let's go and first open the, start the steering wheel. So the steering wheel, the hardest part is going to be finding the angle of the steering wheel itself. And looking at this particular thing from here, I mean, that looks like it's probably, I don't know, that might be 45 degrees. So we may actually not have to calculate the angle of this. But if it wasn't 45 degrees, then you'd have to do some math to find the angle. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hit the N key and get points. And this UV editor and window can go away. We're done with that. And so again, you're going to want the point of this center of the steering wheel, because that's what you're going to base your rotation around. So X is going to be this. We need to know that X. And go away. So we're going to go back to our Hanks. Go down to here where we have our steering wheel. That's going to be our X coordinate. Our Y coordinate, again, is going to be the Z coordinate. So that's going to be this guy. And then we need to get our Z coordinate, which is going to be negative Y. Lovely. So this is the center point of the steering wheel. And because it's going to be a rotation based on, this says rudder, but the rudder is the same as the steering wheel. It just needs to be opposite. But basically what it's saying is the vector that we're going to rotate about is negative 0.5 in the y direction and 0.5 in the z direction. And you might be saying, wait a minute, that's backwards, because negative 0.5 in y is going to be down that way, 0.5 in z is going to be that way. That's going towards the steering wheel shaft, and it has to point away, doesn't it? And I'm like, it does, but if you change the direction of that vector, it'll change how it rotates. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show normals here. So you got this little line here that comes out of the steering wheel. And the steering wheel would rotate around that, but depending on what the sign of these axis values are, it changes how the steering wheel rotates. I realize this is getting complicated, so just trust me on this one, and we're going to go on something really easy. We're going to talk about the gear shift, because gear shifts are super easy. So we're going to go down to this gear shift here, and we're going to go get some values from it. Now, we want the gear shift to rotate about the bottom of itself, and thankfully it's actually down there in the bottom of the floor. So we can go and get the center of this little face here, which will be the center point it needs to rotate about. And hopefully, let's see what we got. Yep, so there's a little bit of an X. So again, there's the X point. Z is Y. And then negative Y becomes Z. Don't forget a bracket. We messed that up last time. So again, you have that. You have your axis. And the axis is 2 because that basically is saying, hey, rotate 2 degrees around the X axis. And in this case, X-axis is that little red arrow. And we want to rotate around the red axis because that's how the gear shift works. And then, of course, the same thing's going to happen for our pedals. We're going to want to rotate about this little bottom point here. So as we push the pedal in, it goes into the floorboard. And thankfully, because the pedals are lined up, we really only need to get one value from them. And since we're rotating about the x-axis, the x point actually doesn't matter. So we'll get that. Yep, we got that. Now we want the edge. There we are. So our z value is going to be that. It's going to be, no, z is y. Remember, z is y. Our z value is going to be negative y, so that's going to go in right there. And we can just pretty much copy this to our other pedals because they're the same. And we don't really need to mess with the axis, I would think. Well, maybe, because that's saying you need to rotate 20 degrees for the throttle, and I don't know if I want that pedal to rotate 20 degrees. That's probably going to push it inside of the firewall. So let's just rotate, say, 5 degrees. And this duration here is kind of like a little, you can slow the pedal down so it looks a little bit nicer. That's it's not a bad idea. So I think that will do us except for instruments. And so if we take a look at the instruments on this vehicle, right now there's actually a spot for 3 of them. So we need to come up with 3 instrument spots. And come on, where's my face select? So one's got to be centered here, one's got to be centered there, and one's got to be centered there. So we got all these instruments. We don't need this many instruments. We just need 3. So 1 instrument, 2 instruments, 3 instruments, and the rest of those can just get deleted. Lovely. HUD position is an old parameter. I don't know why that's on here, but that can go away. So right now you just have the position of the instrument, the rotation of the instrument, and the scale of the instrument, and then various HUD positions. So let's first talk about the position. So position, again, you come in here. We know that the Z position is going to be Y, and it's going to be the same for all our instruments, so we actually don't need to worry too much about that, because again, it's the same. Rotation, again, is going to be 0, because it's flat on there. The Z position, which again is negative Y, is going to be the same. We don't need to worry about that. So that's a Z position, that's a Z position, that's a Z position. Now the X position is going to be different for these because they're going to be, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. So the first X position we're going to get is this guy, which actually is similar to what the Scout was. The second X position is going to be that guy. And the third X position is going to be that guy. Lovely. So we got that. Now let's double check the HUD position. So HUD X is 200, 160, 120, and we want them to be right next to one another, so that's kind of fine, but the Scout had, I think, 6 across, so we're going to just go double check, and we're going to keep the center 3. And again, you can arrange them in the HUD however you see fit. That is up to you. So we went from 120, 160, 200, 240, and 280. So let's keep the center 3 again, because we want it to be nice and centered. So we're going to say that's going to be 240, that's going to be 200, this guy's going to be 160, and we're going to leave the Y alone. Now for the scale. So HUD scale, I could care less about, but the scale you have to watch. So in this particular model, assuming this is thin pixels, you have 3 pixels of size for that instrument. Now, instruments, you have to basically convert them from block coordinates to texture coordinates. So if you have 3 pixels, then you divide that by 16, that's going to be 0.1875 blocks. But you also have to divide the instrument by 8 due to an internal conversion that's been there since years and years. So you divide that by 8. And that's the scale you need to put in. So you put in that scale, you put in that scale, and you put in that scale. And that should pretty much do us. And you know, while we're here, we might as well add an extra one of these Hankses. So if we have a Hanks 49 fresh orange, let's try earth brown. So what I can go do is I can just go put that inside of there. Hanks 49 earth brown. And again, we're going to go make a change here. You got to go add this earth brown Hanks 49. That's got to match. Brown. Lovely stuff. And did we make a change in this model? Yes, we did. We changed the lights. So export that. And then now we can go drag and drop everything back in here. In fact, let's, do I still have those textures in there? Good. I'm just going to delete these out of here because these don't really belong there. Go away. So again, we changed all of these. In fact, so we're just going to drag them all back in there, and then we're going to go launch Minecraft again. Wait for all the little mods to start up. Don't see any errors so far. That must mean we didn't screw up the JSON. Oh no. Well, we did screw it up. Okay, so here's what we have. An error. And it's attempted to depart license information from Hanks 49, left turn light but faulted, likely due to a naming convention error. Notice how the name of this light is really, really long. That's a good indication that Blender has gone and screwed something up in your naming. So let's go look at left turn lights and see what we can find. And what that usually means is see, this name doesn't match this name. This name's missing its @ symbol. So if you ever have one of those suckers missing, Blender will go and screw it up. And no, we have everything for the right turn light, so let's try and export that again. And we're going to go ahead and dump that over into there. And you don't need the MTL file, by the way, so Blender just exports that. And then let's launch it again. So yes, some things won't crash your game, other things will. And having your names incorrect for lights is one of those things. Oh, lovely, the sound's broken. That's nothing a little F3T won't take care of. There we go. Alright, so we have this, and I guess that's our turret signal lit up over there. Can't tell. That's blinking. I must have, why do I have this thing? And go away, icon. Get out of my face. Oh, that's because it's my offhand. Okay. I must have named my light wrong again. Well, you can take care of that later. And the reason sounds died are because when you restart your sounds, it kills the looping sound. So all you got to do is take care of them that way. Well, that one works. So I must have screwed something up on that one, but whatever. We'll have to take care of that in a moment. There we go. Okay, so the turn signals were just confused. Yeah, so my names are still a little off, but that's simple enough to understand what's going on. So let's see if the models went in. Okay, so it didn't like that. Let's not go to any of those tabs. Minecraft must have not had a fun time loading up, I tell you what. Cloud white, fresh orange. Ah, see the earth brown one we did. Let's go change that to earth brown. Lovely, we can tell that's worked. And so now we should be able to see our animations work. Steering wheel works. The gear shifter does work. Now we're in reverse. Well, the brakes weren't on. Now we're in neutral. We can't go in forwards yet. There we go. Now we are in forwards. Now we can go KO some spiders. And what we should see now is if we get into that vehicle, we should be able to see the, yep, see that pedals moved forward a little bit. So, not that much actually. Let us see if we can, we may not be able to see the pedals from here actually, looking at it this way. So that, that might have been a waste of time. Gotta love it though. So let's go grab ourselves a wrench and double check those instrument positions. And yes, it's not happy loading at all. Speed. Let's go with tachometer and no problem. And okay, so this is the thing about instruments. If you make your instrument position line up exactly where your texture is, you're going to get Z fighting because that's where you told it to be. So here's a nice thing you can do. So if you're in a vehicle and you grab a wrench, of course normally if you wrench you'll go see this screen. So if you hit the P key, turn on dev mode, what that'll do is it opens the dev editor. So you can go and export all your packs you have, and then what they're going to do is they're going to go away. They're going to go inside this MTS dev folder. And you can come in over here. Yes, I know you modified the log. Go away. And edit certain things. So if I come down here to my instrument section, now that's rendering, definitions, instruments, there we are. So this right now is at a Z position of 2.84. If I go to change it to 2.85, that'll be enough to take care of my clipping. So you can go in here, just hit import. You see it realized it had changes and imported it. And where'd my instruments go? Dagnabbit. Unless did I math error that? Oh, no, I needed to go the other way. 2.85 moves it closer to the hood, so it went inside the instrument cluster. Be 2.83. Save that. Let's go in. There we go. See, now they're all lined up right where they're supposed to be. So dev mode makes things a lot easier. And so the other thing you can do is say, now we don't have any item icons, and even if we did, they'd be corrupted. You can go to model render, hit confirm. See what that's going to do is that's going to render those little hanks down there. Now, you go to your P key and turn off your HUD, so no rendering HUDs. Slime, do you want to get run over? So again, let's say you have that there. You go here, you go to model render. That's going to render this little Hanks thing, so you can go and change it to scale of 5, 4, 3, maybe 3. Now we're going to try and line it up with that slot there, so we can go and make an item icon. 250, that's 52, 54, 56. And that might actually need to be a little bit smaller to fit in there. So you can go scale of 2. And that actually might be good. So you can get a snapshot of F2. Go back to your, oh, where the heck is it? It would be under your screenshots folder. Edit this guy with your editor of choice. I usually use GIMP. And then you're going to scroll in here. And because this is a regular window game, the item icon will be exactly 32 by 32. So image, crop to selection. And you need to go also, for GIMP, you've got to add an alpha layer to, oh, where is it? There we are. To make all this stuff go away. So when you go and hit delete, the non-vehicle things go away. So that will get rid of that. Then that color goes away, that color goes away, that color goes away. Lovely. So then what you can do is you can go to File, Export As. We're going to go put that in our Downloads folder. Assets, Fluid Craft, Vehicles, Hanks Time. Now, because this is the item texture, you need to name it as Item. So then we'll just go ahead and quit that. We could do the other textures, but that would just be waste of video time for y'all, and y'all don't want to watch me just do a bunch of textures. And so we got that. We can go grab our earth brown item, drag him inside of there, relaunch. And if everything's done correctly, which hopefully it will be, we will have 2 purple checker Hankses for the cloud white and orange, but our new brown one will actually have its item. Again, you don't have to go mess with item JSONs or... Dang it, the sound didn't work again. Gotta love OpenAL. And of course, because I didn't save that change, it reverted back to that, so lesson learned. So, see, there we go. Earth Broughton Hanks 39. So, yeah. That's really all you got to do to add a vehicle into MTS. It's not super hard. Just need some JSON files, some getting coordinates, and some decent textures and some little bit of math. But that's it for the base of it, folks. And this is Don Bruce, signing off.